You're watching Oilers Nation every day with Tyler Yaremchuk. Your one-stop shop for all things Oilers.
It's been 18 long years, but tonight, on that ice right behind us, the Edmonton Oilers will play in a Stanley Cup Final game. Let's get into it with the lead. Welcome into Oilers Nation Every Day, coming to you live from the Sports Closet studio. Check them out online at sportscloset.ca. Tyler and Liam with you live from Amarant Bank Arena down in Sunrise, Florida. And it is hot outside. The AC is very nice and cranked in here.
It is.
And Liam and I are ready to roll for an hour plus of pre-game coverage for tonight's opening game of the 2024 Stanley Cup Final. Aaron, I have the link up on my phone. Is it possible to bring that up and still have our audio? Because I'd like to show people a little bit about what our set here is. Maybe not.
Oh, you got to mute that one.
There we go. Now we're good. So you can see, it's Liam and I. There you go. There's Liam. Hello. And then right behind us, you can see a little friend down on the ice. That would be the Stanley Cup, everybody. So it's our setup. It's looking pretty sweet. There you go. That's all I wanted to do is just show people that the Stanley Cup's down there, AB.
It's kind of unreal, to be honest.
Yeah,
I saw the Stanley Cup for the first time yesterday.
Yeah, you've never seen it in person before.
No, I've never seen it, but I didn't want to jinx it,
Yeah,
fair. Don't look at it till you've won it. Don't touch it till you've won it. So, I wish you could have got a closer look at it, but unfortunately, Mike Rupp was live on television with it, so I wasn't able to get too close. But kind of amazing that we're again here in the building doing a Stanley Cup Final with the Edmonton Oilers in it for the first time in, what'd you say, 2006, 18 years?
Maynard is in the chat and says, decent digs, boys. It's definitely not fake. I feel like our backdrop yesterday, when I went back and watched the show again, it looked like we were green screen a little bit. And that's why I'm kind of happy. They got the lights and stuff all going on behind us. It's a pretty sweet setup for us here. Again, big shout out to the NHL for giving us credentials. Because that's big. Obviously, yesterday.
It's been funny. A few media members have come up to us like, oh, you guys are here. Not like taking shots, but like,
you guys are here.
It's like surprising, but yeah, I think we've done a great job so far, to be honest.
Yeah, I think it's been really good. We have a lot of stuff to get to today on the show. Get ready, because today is going to be very, very segment heavy. We're going to be rolling through a whole bunch of stuff today on the program. But hey, it is the Stanley Cup Final, and it's a good time for me to tell you that the Oilers Nation coverage of the final is presented by Fountain Tire. Shout out to our new friends over at Fountain Tire. They are more than just tires. They offer a wide range of auto repair and services from their expert mechanics. Visit fountaintire.com to see all the mechanical services they offer. And a big part of our coverage down here at the final has been going to media day yesterday. We had a chance to chat with a whole bunch of people. We went down first for the Florida Panthers avails. We talked with Sam Bennett, Carter Verhaeghe. We got in on his scrum for a little bit. And actually, one of the things I really like that we did is, obviously, there are massive scrums for the big players. Barkov, McDavid's little huddle area. We knew 20 minutes before it started we weren't going to get in there because it was so gummed up. But we actually had, I think, a pretty smart strategy of going to the lesser-known players, basically getting one-on-ones with them. And then by the time we were done our one-on-ones with them, the big guns were kind of open. It's how we got in with Draisaitl. It's how we were able to get in with Nuge and Bush and a couple of those guys. But anyways, I wanted to go through and share a little bit of the players we were able to talk to. The first two guys we had a chance to stand with were Calvin Pickard and Brett Kulak. And one thing I wanted to talk with them about is just Pickard's relationship with Stuart Skinner, and with Kulak, how the room has reacted to Skinner and played for him at different points in these playoffs. So let's take a listen into that conversation.
Yeah, it's been good to see. Obviously, for us, he's contributed to a lot of wins, and that's been great. But just for him on a personal level, it's been the last couple of years. He's constantly working at it, and he went through a tough time in the playoffs this year, the one round. But it's not the first time that's happened to him. So I think that's helped him. His previous experience he can lean on, where he got a little bit of a tough couple of games, but then he can bounce back. And it's never in our locker room. We never doubt him and anything like that. So. He knows we all have his back, and he's been great for us, and he's a big reason we're here.
Obviously got to know him a little bit last year, never played with him, but coming into this year, he can take a lot from what I bring, and I can take a ton from what he brings too. So obviously we're each other's biggest supporter. I need him to play well. He needs me to play well. Obviously when we're switching off. But I was very happy for him. Obviously it was a tough spot for him in the Vancouver series, and the way he bounced back was exceptional for a guy that's he's still a young goalie. And, since that point, he's gotten back in. He's been great. And, I expect the same going forward.
They were both really, really nice to talk to. It's also funny, like Brett Kulak, we eventually get to another part with him where you're reminded, oh, man, he's 30. He gives off very mature vibes for 30. We're like, man, he's only like 3-4 years older.
2 years older than me.
Yeah, 2 years older than you, which is crazy. Like Brett Kulak was super nice to talk to, and I thought it was really interesting. Like some of the more heartwarming moments of this run so far for me have come after Game 6 when Skinner returns to the net, he plays well, only gives up 1 goal, and they win. And Pickard standing at his crease at the end of the game, giving him the shots and the punches, and just seeing how happy Pickard's been for that bounce back for Skinner throughout these playoffs has been really cool. Pickard's played that role of a backup perfectly.
Yeah, and I mean sometimes, right, you'll get these situations, I guess you could say. I think it may be a good example even within the Oilers organization would have been, hypothetically, if Campbell was kind of taking the ropes like he was supposed to and Skinner was pushing the guy. Like, you have a guy in the backup in Skinner who wants Campbell's job, and obviously Pickard wants to be the starter on this team, but knows his role, and he really is the perfect backup. And the comments he made yesterday just kind of show who he is, and it was great to chat with him. And a funny little story right before that, Pickard sat in the wrong seat.
Oh yeah,
he comes on, he sits right in Kulak's seat, but they look so alike that obviously we knew, and no one called out. But I thought that was quite funny how that happened, and then this whole way had to move everything. It was quite the ordeal, but yeah, they were fantastic to chat with. Just really conversational. I think that's one thing I took away from yesterday is everyone was there willing to give good answers from the Oilers side of things. They weren't shying away from kind of giving a little bit of something. Like, I'm sure we've got a Holloway clip coming up. He was fantastic to chat with. And I think the strategy you said of going to the lesser known guys and getting more personal time with them was something that really benefited us.
Yeah. Another cool storyline I kind of thought heading into this was some of the local players in this series. Obviously, we have Brett Kulak from Stony Plain, Josh Mahura from my neck of the woods out in St. Albert. Him and I were actually, so he's a year younger than me, but there was a year when I was in elementary school where they had an awkward amount of kids in grade 2 and an awkward amount in grade 1. So they combined. They did a grade 1, grade 2 split. Josh and I were in the same class.
So did he go up or did you go up?
He would have been a year younger. So I would have been on the grade 2 side. He would have been on the grade 1 side. But anyways, he's a St. Albert boy, and now he's going up against his hometown team in the Stanley Cup Final. It's actually for a guy who started his career with the Anaheim Ducks, went on waivers, found his way to Florida. It's now back-to-back Stanley Cup Finals for him. So I talked to him about the opportunity of playing in the Cup Final, and we got to ask Brett Kulak about his memories of the 06 Cup run.
You can always kind of dream of something like that to be doing, but to be in this situation, a part of this team, on this team, be going against the Oilers, it's obviously pretty cool for me.
Yeah, I got quite a few memories of that, and yeah, I got lots really, and I was definitely involved in that. I was 12 years old, so I was at that age where just continued, I idolized the NHL guys, and so it was a fun time for my friends and I, and ever since that run, we still talk about it a lot. And so now to be a part of another one here with Edmonton, it's really special.
Yeah, I mean, I like that. Brett Kulak is a 12-year-old in 06 watching those Oilers with his buddies and all of that, and then now you flash forward, he's getting to play in a Cup Final in his hometown, it's such a sweet story.
Yeah, it's cool, and I like the part where he said my friends and I still talk about that 06 run, and now
crazy.
He's going to be able to be part of those conversations, but involved in the stories of what happened in this 2024 run. Obviously, ultimately, everyone's going to hope in this chat that the Oilers come out and win, but either way, we've said it before, the guys who are going to take part in this series for the Oilers are basically legends in this city now, no matter what.
The big story I was chasing yesterday, and if you haven't had a chance to read the article that I wrote up at Oilersnation.com, I'd love if you do it. It's probably the favorite thing I've ever written.
It was amazing.
For this site.
I will say I read it last night and I complimented Tyler. It was very well written. Good quotes in there.
Yeah. So basically the storyline I was looking at was, this is a team, and we've seen them over the years. they're their best when they have swagger.
Yeah.
Right? When they're playing with that kind of smooth feeling and the game looks easy to them, that's when they're at their best. And early in the year, like, they were fighting it, man. They were a hitter in the worst slump of their life where they couldn't touch anything. They looked awkward and disjointed. They weren't coming together as a team, and it made no sense. Like, the same group that's gone on runs, that's been in the playoffs together, and why they were looking so bad, it was a mystery. And I think it can be really hard to get yourself up and out of that slump. So the question, I went around and I asked every single guy the same question. I said, what was the point in this season where you all looked at each other and said, okay, we have our swagger back? And this is what they had to say.
Was there a moment earlier in the year when you guys were breaking out of your struggles that it felt like you guys really got your swagger back?
I think there's a game in Washington that was a big turning point for our group. I thought we really got back to our game and just kind of dominated for truly 60 minutes.
I think it was in Washington. I think we had a tough game in Carolina on the road. I think it was a few games after we played Florida on the road, and then we played Washington. And I remember, I think our mindset of our team kind of shifted. We said we're going to commit to defense, and we went out and scored 5 goals that game. So it's funny how that works. But
Washington game, afternoon game, Thanksgiving. That's when I think we turned it around. We had a little team meeting before the game, and there was just something different. It was a little confidence, and we won that game 5-0. And I think we went on to win, I think, 8 in a row. And then we lost a couple of games, and we won 16 in a row.
I can't remember one moment, but that the big win in Washington, we kind of remember that as a bit of a marker as when we really started turning things around. We started stringing together a bunch of wins, and so I think we all look back at that game as kind of the start of the new season and start where we started stacking up the wins. So.
The mindset of our team kind of shifted that night, and a lot of it was a testament to Janmark. The janitor gave us a big speech in Carolina after the game about, he had been through a similar situation in Vegas, and where they had a tough start and their team mindset shifted to defense.
Again, very, very proud of the guys, always stuck with it and been through this, and easy to fall down a slide. So did a good job there.
Apologies for the audio on Leon there. Clearly.
Yeah,
it's because I was next to the speaker, so it was picking up a bunch of shit. But my favorite part about that, because again, they were all on, and someone was like, it's scripted. They were all on the same page.
But they all, the thing is, you can say that, but like when we asked the question, they all kind of thought about it.
Yeah, like especially Kulak. Kulak starts by saying there's not really a moment. Then he's like, well, no, actually, that game in Washington is the one I look back on. And you could tell that was such a rallying point. And I love Vinny's answer, and you can read his full quote in my story up at Oilers Nation. But he goes on to kind of say, like, Leon and Connor stood up and said, this ship gets turned around tonight. Mm-hmm. And it's not going to be just us. It's not just Ekholm. It's not Skinner. And Vinny was calling them by their nicknames. He goes, it's going to be everyone in this room that turns it around. And then to have Matthias Janmark step up and give a speech too, I think that I don't want to lose the significance of that, because a guy in the bottom 6 on a team that's always considered top heavy, is always considered driven by its stars. That guy stepped up in the room and said, let's figure our shit out.
Yeah. And it shows the what can you say, the respect, I guess, players have for Janmark too. We've kind of heard that over the summer, as that's a big reason why he was kind of.
He didn't think he was coming back until McDavid kind of stood up and said, that guy's coming back.
And you see moments like that. You see what he's been able to do throughout the playoffs. And you know what? Even like small moments too, like against Calgary, where he fights Blake Coleman in like a terrible game for the Oilers. It just shows what kind of player he is. But yeah, just that Washington game, I remember it so well because we actually had a Oilers Nation watch along for that one. And I remember going into it thinking like, man, they just got smoked 3 games in a row. In this building was Calvin Pickett's first game for the Oilers, and they got beat up that game. And it's just like no defense at all. And that's one thing. I can't remember if it was in one of those clips, but they said it's like our focus is defense now. And that, I think that's a massive thing. Like, you remember at the start of the season, Jay Woodcroft was trying to put in this, was it a man-to-man defense? And it was just like not working at all. And, you know, we can talk about like the commitment to the players, but it kind of gets to a point, I think, in anybody's life where it's like you're doing something over and over again and it's just not working in their favor. And that's what was happening to the Oilers. And then obviously Chris Knobloch comes in and changes things. That is not good.
Are they going to be able to hear us?
I don't know.
I guess we'll find out. What's it look like? We did have permission to be here. That is crazy loud.
Can they hear that?
I don't know. Let's see what AB's saying. He can still hear us fine. So it's really just more of a distraction. More of a distraction for us as they work on their pregame show behind us. But the last thing I wanted to touch on from all of that was Leon Draisaitl. And there's a clip that went around from Oilers Plus a couple of weeks ago, or a couple of days ago, I should say, of
Epic.
What is going on?
They're doing their pregame show.
I know. I hope they know. Whatever.
It looks
Okay.
awesome.
Yeah, it looks great. There's a clip that went around of Draisaitl saying in the locker room, he kind of claps, goes, "Get our swagger back, windows down, elbows out," right? Like you're cruising in your car in the summer with the window down, wind in your face. And I asked Draisaitl about that.
To a few guys, but was there a moment earlier in the year when you guys were breaking out of your struggles that it felt like you guys really got your swagger back?
I think there's a game in Washington that was a big turning point for our group. I thought we really got back to our game and just kind of dominated for truly 60 minutes, and that was a big turning point for our group. And obviously it took us a while to find our mojo, find our game, but again, very, very proud of the guys how we stuck with it and been through this, and easy to fall down a slide, so did a good job there.
There was a clip of you in the locker room saying windows down, elbows out. Is that a thing, or is that just a once off the cuff thing?
I'll keep that in the dressing room. Sorry.
He wasn't biting.
No,
He wasn't
I
biting.
like the response from him. He clearly knew the reference, and it was good. It was funny.
Yeah, that was good. I guess they can't hear the music that was going on behind us, so it's all good.
Aaron does these shows at Greta all the time.
Yeah.
I guess that goes pretty well.
The
So I couldn't
headset's
assume,
legit.
but let me tell you, that was loud. Felt like I was at a concert.
Yeah. Okay, let's keep cruising along. It is a Sherwood Ford Giant. Oh, first off, shout out to our friends at Fountain Tire. Once again, excited to have them on board for Oilers Nation's coverage of the final, presented by Fountain Tire. They ensure that 100% of their vehicles owned have properly aligned wheels. Wheel alignments extend the life of your tires, which lower the carbon footprint of your vehicle. Find out more at FountainTire.com. Liam, it is also obviously a Sherwood Ford Giant Game Day, brought to you by the all-new Tremor. It is the perfect truck if you are a working professional. The center console, it's flexible, allows you to put your laptop on there. It's got seating for 3 in the back, 2 in the front, perfect for whoever or whatever you need to be bringing it to and from the job site. Shout out to our friends at Sherwood Ford, the Giant, and our Giant Game Day question, Liam. It is night 1 of the Stanley Cup Final, which means there's a chance for you to dream a little bit and think about some scenarios that are going to play out. So our Giant question today is this: who's going to be the hero of this Oilers team, the unexpected hero of this Oilers team?
It's an interesting question because we've spoke about it so many times where like this team doesn't even need unexpected heroes, right? At this moment. So an unexpected, like, is the penalty kill an unexpected hero anymore?
I don't think so.
I really think it's going to come through again. So, you know what? I'll just go with, I'll go with a trio here, and I'll go with Brown, Henrique, and Yaremchuk. They're going to be third, fourth line, whatever it is tonight. I really like that trio together. So I'm excited to see what they can do. Obviously, 3 veterans of the NHL, Yaremchuk and Henrique, both been to a Stanley Cup Final before. 2 of 5 players on this team who have done it. So yeah, I think that's the trio I'm going to look at as the unexpected heroes, whether it's defensively or offensively. I think they'll have a really good game.
Yeah, I kind of had Connor Brown circled again, just talking to him yesterday about the moment in the year when he felt like he got his swagger back. And one thing that I thought was interesting is he pointed to the deadline editions, and he said they're all guys I've played with before at different points in his career.
Right.
Yeah.
Brown, Carrick, Stetcher. Maybe not Stetcher,
He included Henrique. Also, him and Henrique were wearing matching like Rolexes.
Yeah.
And I asked him about it, and I was like, what's up with the rollies? Like, is that a thing? And they were just like, Brian was like, no, he copied me. And I was like, oh, so it's not like the team doesn't all have the same watch. And they're like, no. But anyways, he seemed like a guy who was confident in himself right now. And he should be. He's playing the best hockey of the season.
He felt very laid back, and I really like his answers just from talking to him. He seemed like he was, like you said, just ready to go. And I got that vibe from a lot of the players, but Brown, like they've played so well. The penalty kill has been fantastic. The 5-on-5 play by them too has been great. He obviously got that big goal in game 2 against the Dallas Stars. Ultimately, the Oilers lost that game, but in that moment, like, Dallas scores and immediately Brown comes out, shoots on the pads of Ottinger, and gets his own rebound. Like, that's the commitment level he has right now. And he's been he's been amazing. And, again, not to get into the off-season stuff, but he said, we said the other week, like, what do you do now with Brown and Yaremchuk when it comes to
matching 1 by 950K deals this summer? Like
maybe 1 by 8.
8 years, 1 million a year. What would
I
the
would-
buyout look like after year 3? There you go. That's our short for giant question. Feel free to drop in your own takes on that one. Who do you think is going to be the unexpected hero? You cheated. You picked 3 players. I zeroed in on 1.
Hey, always the easy way out.
Another thing, and this will tie in, actually, we should just probably get right into the lineup report
Let's get
brought to
into
you by
it.
Boston Pizza, because there is a little bit of news. We were at Morning Skate today.
Yep.
Our lineup report brought to you by Boston Pizza. It has been over 30 years since a Canadian team has captured it all, and that is exactly what Edmonton has an opportunity to do. Is the rest of Canada getting on the bandwagon? Are they teaming up for the win?
We're going to find out.
We're about to find out. Either way,
I don't think so.
I like our Oily boys' chances.
I have a quick question
Okay.
that I want to ask the chat as well outside of our show for giant question. Do you think this is the best Canadian team to be in the final since
Like a lot of the year, Vancouver was good.
the 2011 team? That's what I'm kind of matching
Really,
it
really
up with
good.
as well, and that was elite. Obviously, a guy like Luongo is better than Skinner. That blue
Henrik and Daniel,
line,
Burrows. That was a team that was building to that point, right?
Kessler.
They were really, really good.
But like when you just have McDavid and Hyman and you have
X
50
factor.
goal guy and Nudes, like did they have a 50 goal guy on that team?
I don't think so.
Daniel probably came close, but I don't think he
I don't think
would
he
have.
did.
So I'm curious in the chat. Let me know what you think. I'm not trying to be biased. I just something I've been thinking
Yeah.
about.
Like the 06 Oilers were obviously not
Yeah.
this skilled. The 04 Flames wouldn't have been. That Sens team
That's-
was a bit of a miracle run.
Montreal, like miracle
But
run.
yeah,
The-
Ottawa,
Ottawa-
Heatley, Spezza, Alfie. Like
Yeah, that
Yeah,
team was really
that
good
team was
actually.
really good. Heatley was still
Um,
on that team, right?
Yeah, because that was their first line.
And
was
then he
that.
asked out. Yeah.
And then
Mike
obviously
Fisher.
that other Ottawa team never made it to the final. And yeah, the Canucks would have won the Presidents in 2011, wouldn't they?
I think they did.
Yeah, so that's good.
All right. Let's get to our lineup report for
Let's
Boston
rock on.
Pizza. Yeah, there's. Is this AC/DC?
I believe so.
Yeah. Top line, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, Connor McDavid, and Zach Hyman. Expected a reuniting of the second line, Draisaitl, Kane, and Holloway, according to Oilers Skate today. And the interesting move comes in the bottom 6.
Yeah.
McLeod, Foegele, Perry. Warren Foegele will play after being healthy scratched the final 3 games of that series against the Dallas Stars, and I think it's the right move. This is a Florida bottom 6 that I think you need to try beat with speed and physicality. They removed Derek Ryan and Sam Carrick, and it'll be the first game in these playoffs that they're both out of the lineup for the Edmonton Oilers. I think it's the right call. I love this center depth. McDavid, Draisaitl, Henrique, McLeod. Boom. Hit him strong down the middle. Hit him with speed on the wings. It's the right play.
I agree, and I think another layer of this, why those two have been in the lineup so much, is because Henrique has been unavailable to play, right? So now you have him as a weapon again. I ultimately do think that fourth line, which I think they have on there, is that right?
No, it's not right on,
Okay,
on the
so I
sheet.
think the Henrique line will be the third line for the team.
Yeah, and
tonight.
that's what it is listed at,
Okay.
actually, is Henrique, Janmark, and Brown. They're going to get a lot of D-zone starts.
Yeah, and then that, but just adding Foegele, Chris Knobloch said yesterday in his press conference that you just add a little bit more offense to your team and the speed. Like, let's not forget, like Fogel's had 20 goals this season, 41 points. He's had a really good year, and he's got to come in all guns a blazing tonight. You know, you got to hit him hard on the forecheck. Try and find something there with McLeod and Perry. Maybe Perry can kind of settle him down a little bit. But those two, for me, have to prove themselves again and can't become a liability like they were at the start of that Dallas Stars series.
Yeah. Oh, my God. They're going to play their full-on hype video behind us.
Oh, no copyright.
Yeah, no copyright. Let's we'll even move over a little bit here, get in the way. Want to make sure this episode does not get taken down. On the blue line, Maynard is in. The big question, Nurse and Cece. Yikes.
Yeah.
And I do think that is deserving of a yikes. Nurse and Kulak worked. Why do we want to mess with that? I don't understand it, but I know we were saying last round, we're done questioning Nobby, and I get it. But why are we taking that risk? It seems unnecessary.
It does seem very unnecessary, especially when you're now going to put Philip Broberg in an uncomfortable spot too. I'd rather Kulak be in that situation. We actually asked him yesterday about how his hips were feeling, and he addressed that. Like, it is a lot different playing on the other side, and he's probably going to do it quite a lot tonight with that Broberg pairing. But one thing Knobloch said too was how Broberg did play a little bit on the right in Bakersfield, so maybe there's some familiarity there. But this is the Stanley Cup playoffs. This isn't the American League anymore. So I don't love the decision. Gotta believe in Nobby. He's done us right so far. So I'm not okay with it, but we'll see what happens. Just play some simple hockey, try and figure it out. But like also another layer of it too. Nurse has been playing really well the last 3 games, and CC to his credit hasn't been that bad either. Hopefully they can just stay steady, which is not something I want to say about that pairing, which should be a lot better than what they are right now.
Yeah. Might only last a period, said Kwadi. Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me at all.
I honestly think we'll see this for 60 minutes.
But that's the thing, if it works, if someone says you don't need to yell, we can't hear the background noise. I can't hear myself.
Yeah, I can't hear
They have this shit cranked up so loud. So apologies if we're yelling a little bit, but yeah. Anyways, that's the lineup for the Oilers. Obviously, Skinner starts. It's a gamble on the blue line, but I love what they're doing up front, and we'll see. Like if it works, we're gonna see it for the full game. If it's bad in the first, I think Knobloch will pull the pin on it.
Yeah, that's probably a fair assessment of it, I guess. But I think they're just gonna let him run and go for it, and we'll see what happens. But Knobloch clearly likes his pairing, even when Nurse was away. With Kulak, they would reunite them in moments, and quite frankly, it wasn't good. I think they had a good series against the Kings. I think everyone had a good series against Kings, though, because it was an easier opponent. But against Dallas and Vancouver, whose offenses are both very good in their own way, they did a really bad job.
All right. That's what's been happening on the ice and in the arena as of late. I want to get to our away from the arena report. We're having some fun. We're down in Fort Lauderdale. It's a good time. Our away from the arena report is brought to you by Wilhauk Beef Jerky. It is Alberta's best beef jerky. 3 locations if you want to pick it up: Leduc, Spruce Grove, or the kiosk in West Edmonton Mall. If you want to place an online order, because they do that and they do it well, the beef jerky does travel. You can head to wilhawkbeefjerky.com. We went to a Marlins game yesterday.
Yeah, we did.
One of 18 people there.
Yeah, the crowd. What did you say when you hit a home run? The crowd went mild.
Yeah, well, because out of the 18 people there, 16 of them were Guardians fans.
Yeah, a lot of Guardians fans.
A lot of Guardians fans. We saw 3 dingers.
We did, which 2 back-to-back by Dela Cruz and
Josh Bell. Yeah. What do you think of the ballpark? From the outs, it's in the middle of a neighborhood
called Little Havana.
Little Havana.
Actual neighborhood is.
Yeah. So it's in the middle of a neighborhood called Little Havana. You pull up, and it's just a warehouse.
Yeah, and another thing too. So we drive there. We went with Frank.
Yeah.
And his
whole
gang,
family.
Yeah, which was fun.
It was great.
We literally pulled up, and we're like on the first like a block away. But we pulled up like at 7:08, and the first pitch was 7:10. Imagine rolling up to a NHL game like that. You would never get anywhere close.
No.
But it was cool. The ballpark was interesting, but baseball's fun. It was an entertaining game. Lots of hits, and yeah, it was good.
And after we're done with this show, our boy Jay has landed. Bagged Milk is in the country as well. We're going to head out to the beach and do a little Keys to Victory segment with our guy Jay later on this afternoon, and then it is game time. So very excited, and a big shout out to our friends at Wilhauk. We'll see Trent, the master behind Wilhauk Beef Jerky. He is in Florida. He'll be at the game tonight. So we'll have to snap a pic with our boy Trent a little bit later on. But we had a great night last night at the Marlins game with Frank, and that is a perfect tie-in to Frank's daily appearance on Oilers Nation Every Day, which is brought to you by Horse Racing Alberta. Frank Seravalli is brought to you by Horse Racing Alberta. Exciting live thoroughbred racing at Century Mile every Friday at 6:15 and Saturday at 3:45. For more information, go to thehorses.com. Frank Seravalli joining us from his hotel room out in Fort Lauderdale. Frank, we had a good time at the Marlins game last night, hey?
It was a bit of an odd ballpark, but nice to cross another one off the list. And yeah, good to hang with you guys. Sling a couple beverages, caught a ball. It was a decent night.
We glossed over that. We went to go get another round of beers, and we come back, and Frank's like, I caught a ball.
Yeah, and it had some dirt on it.
Yeah, it was a dirty one. But you mentioned, Frank, how many ballparks because you and your boy are trying to like cross them all off the list?
Yeah, my son is 10, and last night was his 13th ballpark, so that was cool.
Yeah, really sweet. And the first time you guys have caught a ball. So it's
Yeah,
nice to be there
it's
for that
cool.
important moment of Seravalli family history. But let's talk about the real reason you're on the show, Frank. And it is what's going to be happening behind us in exactly 6 hours from now. It is the Oilers. It is the Panthers. It is game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final. We had media day yesterday, and obviously you were around this morning at the Avails following morning skate. How would you describe the vibe of this Oilers team?
Very businesslike. It was pretty quiet this morning. Morning skate, you guys got a peek at that. And I'd say they're tired of answering questions at this point, and totally understandable. After 5+ days, all of us are tired of previewing it and talking about it. It's time to drop the puck. And I'd say it was certainly, maybe that's the best way to describe it, is a business-like atmosphere.
Is there something in the last couple of days? Obviously, we had the media day yesterday and a few people this morning chatting. Is there something that stood out to you the most that someone said?
I think I'm most curious about the lineup decisions, Liam. We know what those are going to be, and we've also heard Chris Knobloch say that this, they're going to see other players inserted into the lineup at some point this series. Makes sense for them to stick with Broberg, and we talked about this a little bit on yesterday's show. He hasn't shown any reason why he can't manage and handle the forecheck well, but Chris Knobloch dropped a little interesting cue or hint today, which was that Brett Kulak is going to be playing both the left and right side. So we were all asking yesterday about the pairing of Nurse and Ceci and why, why would you put those two guys back together again? It seems like that might be the plan to start, but that they're very ready to change if necessary. And so the idea that he mentioned Kulak playing both sides to me was fascinating.
Yeah, I'm really perplexed by the decision to go back to Nurse and CC. Like, it felt like every time against Dallas that Knobloch would go back to it for a little stretch, it would just blow up in their face and they couldn't give the Oilers good results. And hey, maybe they know something that I don't. And the 5 days off, they feel like it's a bit of a reset. And obviously those two have played with each other more than anyone over the last number of years on this blue line. But I don't know, Frank, like it really, really worries me heading into game 1. And we know the margins are going to be thin in every game. This just feels like, to start, a bit of an unnecessary risk for me. Am I wrong? Should I stop doubting Chris Knobloch after everything we've seen?
Yeah, I think he deserves the benefit of the doubt. And Leon Draisaitl was actually talking about that yesterday when he was asked about the different changes that Chris Knobloch has made. He goes, the first one, you're kind of like, oh, that's interesting. The second one, And then once you see them continue to work out, you're like, okay, we need to stop thinking about this. This guy clearly knows what he's doing. He's pressed all the right buttons to this point. I would say, there is a heightened awareness because this is the Stanley Cup Final. And because we talked about this yesterday, there are no freebies. You can't give games away to the Florida Panthers. However, the part that I think you're discounting is that the last 3 games that we saw from Darnell Nurse were his best of the playoffs. So your thought process is, okay, this guy has turned the page on this postseason. He's now back at closer to a level that he should be. Therefore, him and Cody Ceci together, the old familiar, this should go back to working again as opposed to not.
The 4-center approach here, we've always joked that when they used to go McDavid, Draisaitl, Nuge on different lines, we called it the spine, putting your 3 big guns down the middle. And now this is similar to that, but almost with another layer, going McDavid, Draisaitl, Henrique, and then McLeod, all 4 of them at the center position. And you and I earlier throughout the week, we're doing all the comparables on these two sides. And one area we kind of gave the Panthers an edge was in the depth. Does this approach from Knobloch and having basically a 4th line now that is Foegele, McLeod, Perry, a 3rd line that's Brown, Janmark, and Henrique down the middle, does that change the way this depth battle could play out? Is that now maybe a check in the Oilers box?
Well, I don't think anyone's giving the Oilers the check in the depth box yet. However, this is the second series in a row in which the Oilers are not the deeper team, at least on paper. That didn't matter in round 3. And more to the point, they've made these changes that you're talking about to try and spread the wealth around and make this team, at least on paper, as deep as possible. We've talked about the idea that the Oilers ceiling is a level that no other team can get to. And I believe that to be fact. The thing is, they have this amazing break glass in case of emergency thing, which you see them go to sometimes to start periods, late in periods, when the game matters most, or you're down a goal in the third. whatever the case is, I love that at some point they kind of just load up in a way that no one else can. So, it's kind of like, I think of it like an accordion. You've got it spread out right now, but when you need to, you can compress things. And that's not something that the Florida Panthers can really do. That's not something that any team can do. And that's really one of the Edmonton Oilers superpowers.
Interesting. Obviously, we don't watch a ton of Florida Panthers hockey throughout the season, but you're out east. You're a little more in tune with, or you're obviously more in tune with the rest of the league than us. Mm-hmm. Who's one player on this Panthers team that Oilers fans maybe don't recognize as a threat or a household name right now, but is going to play a big role in this series?
The guy I'd put forward would be Anton Lundell. I think I don't know how his brain fits in his helmet. That's how good his hockey IQ is. And I don't say that in a funny way. Like, he's that smart of a player, and his reads are always correct and spot on. He's always in the right position, and he's found a way to produce offense playing further down in this Panthers lineup and be a clutch player that I think he's kind of a force to be reckoned with here. He's not going to be an uppercase player that people are going to key on. He's not going to be Matthew Tkachuk or Sam Reinhart or pick a guy that is going to get a ton of attention and love, but he's a really good player. That's a huge part of the core and nucleus of this Panthers team that I think when you talk about the Panthers being a deeper team, that's exactly the type of player that I think of. That's like, well, the Oilers don't have that.
Is there someone in the Oilers forward group you want to see more from this round?
Well, it's not more from. I want to see more of. I want to see more Dylan Holloway. And I know you guys are on board with that. I think he's got a lot of the different characteristics and attributes to his game that makes him such a important piece moving forward. It's crazy to think of this year and kind of how things have yo-yoed for him back and forth. And now here he is playing in a Stanley Cup final and the potential to be a really key contributor for this team. He's got the wheels, he's got the intelligence, and he's shown up in a couple different big moments so far in these playoffs that you're like, man, this guy is really beginning to put it all together. And so it's not a negative thing at all. I just want to see more ice time, more opportunity, more for him to be able to add to this Oiler team.
Yeah, that is totally fair. Zeroing in on tonight, we've obviously broken down the intangibles and the key battlegrounds for this whole series, but can you maybe give me a key to victory for tonight specifically? Like for the Oilers, is it going to be finding a way to get to Bob early? Is it going to be finding a way to quiet down this crowd early? Because I think it's going to be rocking out here at Amerant Bank Arena. What would be a key to victory tonight for the Oil?
Yeah, I'd say strike early.
Yeah. Try to get
quiet this crowd down right from the beginning. And if you're under assault, then just pack it in. And Matthias Ekholm was actually talking about that today. The idea that no one, after this long between series, this stage, no one really knows what this moment is going to look like. But he was talking about the idea of how in various moments so far this postseason, the Oilers have found a way when they don't have their A game to weather the storm. And yeah, they've had a few gaffes and mistakes and some unfortunate games that have played out. But he was asked specifically about Game 6 in the Dallas series, and I'm not sure that's a game that the Oilers win a few years ago. They were in a spot where they didn't have their best game. They struck early, and then they were kind of clinging and hanging on for dear life. Stuart Skinner played really well. But he was talking about the idea of playing the right way. If you know that you don't have it, sometimes you just got to enter pure survival mode. And I'd venture to bet that at some point during these first two games in Florida, the Oilers are going to be in a period of survival mode. How long does that last? How much damage will be inflicted? Can they get out of that clean? Those stretches are going to go a long way in determining how the series is going to go.
You got another one?
Just a quick one. Like another thing Ekholm spoke about today was I think he's one of 5 Oilers players that have played in the Cup final before.
Yep.
And obviously the Panthers went back-to-back years of going. Like, does experience matter that much, or is that just kind of a layer that we just put on the series?
Yeah, I mean, you've covered a lot of Cup finals.
Yeah, and I've been at a bunch. I think this is 13 or 14. I would say it's overhyped. It's talked about more than it probably matters. because we've seen plenty of teams come in that have less experience, that have never been there, never seen it, never tasted it, and find a way to have success. The Blues are a great example. The Caps before them. There's been lots of teams that have just kind of finally broken through, and this is their year. I also think experience, and Chris Knobloch wasn't pulling at this thread when he mentioned it earlier in the week, Liam, because that's not in his nature. But when you do get there and lose, I think there's a bit more, man, we can't let this opportunity slip. And I think the Oilers know how precious, these next few weeks are. Connor McDavid has talked all playoffs about how things happen quickly and it can be a short series and things can get away from you in a hurry. I think they're going to be ready to play. I think Matthias Ekholm has been pounding his fist on the table saying, don't wait 2 games to wade into this and try and figure it out as if there's going to be a feeling out process, because by then you will have already got hit in the face with a 2x4 by the Florida Panthers. So I think they're going to be ready to play. And I don't know that it helps for sure having gotten there, but also when you have gotten there and have negative memories, this is the 3rd trip for Paul Maurice. He's coached the most games in NHL history without winning a Stanley Cup. To get this close, there's probably quite a bit of agony that hangs with you too. And the Oilers on the other side of that ledger don't have any sort of negative thoughts in their head.
Yeah, that's fair. What hits the ice first tonight, a rat or a slab of Alberta beef?
I'm going to say a slab of Alberta beef, because Florida Panthers fans know that if you throw the rats, you could be hit with a penalty.
Yeah, which is
oh, really?
Yeah,
Did that happen?
You would imagine that threat goes to Oilers fans too, though, once this returns to Alberta.
Yeah, but not really. The number of rats here, you're going to be shocked.
Okay.
And look, this is before your time, like quite literally before you were born, but 1996, after every single goal that was scored in the playoffs, rats littered the ice. Like hundreds of them, not after hat tricks, not after rat tricks, but after every goal. And finally, at some point, the league had to get a handle on it and said, if you continue to do this after every goal, we're going to assess you a delay of game penalty. And so the slab of beef is Alberta beef is treated much like the octopus in Detroit. It's a nice, now it's, the tradition is back again for the Oil, but there's not going to be 200 slabs of Alberta beef hitting the ice. There's only a couple, and they generally kind of get thrown at the beginning of the game. So I think I'm going to, my bet, that's a long-winded way of saying that I think it's going to be beef. You got to mark your territory too. You got to get some blood dripping on the ice.
For sure, Frank. All right, we're about 6 hours away from puck drop now in this Stanley Cup Final. Frank, it's going to be electric, and appreciate you doing this again today.
See you guys.
See you, Frank.
Frank Seravalli's appearance on our show is brought to you by the Horses. Exciting live thoroughbred racing at Century Mile every Friday at 6:15 and Saturday at 3:45. For more information, go to thehorses.com. Hey, that is actually
website.
Pardon?
Like, what is just a good website?
It's a great website to nail. Yeah,
like that could draw in a lot of people.
It could. Thehorses.com. Shout out to our friends over at Horse Racing Alberta. It is a really, really fun night at the track if you can get out there.
Yeah.
It's a great way to spend a summer night. And they actually race like into the fall and winter too. It's super cool. Okay, let's continue along. We don't have anyone on the guest line today, so we're going to do some game notes for our friends at Star Mechanical. It's Edmonton's #1 plumbing and heating company. You can find out more about them online by visiting them at starmechanical.ca. Residential, commercial, or 24/7 emergency services. They can do it all for you. And they've been doing it great in the Edmonton area for more than 20 years. They've been doing it since before the 06 Cup run.
Wow.
Here's a couple of nuggets from our pal Jason Greger in his article up now at Oilersnation.com. Florida is 1-8 in Stanley Cup Final games in their franchise history. They were swept by Colorado in 1996 and then lost 4-1 to Vegas last year. So there are some Stanley Cup Final demons for this Florida Panthers team, specifically in this building. Edmonton has obviously been in a lot more Cup Finals than the Florida Panthers. They have a franchise record of 23-14 in Cup Final games. So Edmonton, of course, a very storied franchise. No one's exactly surprised to see that. But Florida being 1-8, the fan base will be on edge if the start of this series doesn't exactly go well for them. Yeah. Edmonton is obviously starting as the road team in this series. The road team has won game 1 just twice in the last 10 years. But what do we say when a stat doesn't go the Oilers' way?
It's due.
It's due. The road team is due to pick up a win. Chicago won back in Tampa Bay in 2015. Dallas won in the bubble, granted, in 2020. So that means if you take out the bubble year and it's true road games with crowds, it's once in the last 9 seasons that there's been crowds. In the salary cap era, the teams who have lost game 1 on the road but still won the cup, so keep in mind salary cap era would be the last 18 seasons.
Yep.
The only road teams who've lost game 1 and come back to win the cup, the 2009 Penguins, the 2011 Bruins, the 2018 Capitals, and the 2019 Blues. So 4 teams in the last 18 seasons have lost game 1 on the road, and come back to win the Stanley Cup. Road teams who have won game 1 on the road and won the cup in that stretch include the 2008 Red Wings, 2012 Kings, and 2015 Chicago Blackhawks. So there you go.
Very interesting stuff.
So that means in the salary cap era, 3 teams have won game 1 on the road and just 1 in the last 9 being the Hawks.
Neither of those favor the Oilers.
Neither of them favor the Oilers, but again, the Oilers have been bucking some trends. Remember when they were down 3-2 to Vancouver, the stat was, 16% of teams come back from down 3-2 when they lose game 5.
Yeah.
There you go. The Oilers have been bucking trends, Liam.
I don't really they're obviously legit numbers in the history of the league, but I don't know. I don't read too much into that stuff, to be honest. I do think each series has its uniqueness. Like you just said, what was it, 16% when the Oilers are down 3-2? But I think anyone who watched that series knew that the Oilers played terribly in game 5 and it was going to be better in game 6. Game 7, obviously a toss-up, especially when you have to go on the road, but it is what it is. I think the Oilers will come out here tonight and do well. I honestly don't know which way it's going to go, but I think they'll leave Florida with a win.
Yeah. The Florida Rangers series went the same as Oilers-Dallas. They were both trailing 2-1, says Nish D. That is a good point as well. Both these teams have fought through a bit of adversity. The Oilers maybe a hair more than the Panthers when you look back to round 2, though.
There was an interesting stat from Jason Greger in the DFO rundown earlier this week. I don't know if you guys have listened to that one yet, but you should. He was talking about the 5-on-5 scoring that the Oilers have, and who are they playing? Panthers have gone up against. And the Oilers, it was like 9th, 7th, and I think Dallas was like 20-something, maybe a little bit higher. Maybe I got those in the wrong way, but it was around there. So the Oilers have averaged, 5-on-5 teams averaged ranked of like 9.6. And Florida so far in the playoffs haven't played a top 15 ranked team. I believe that is correct. I could be a little bit wrong, but like, the last 2 teams, like the Rangers, like everyone spoke about how they smothered them at 5-on-5. It's like, well, yeah, the Rangers weren't a good 5-on-5 team. So it'll be interesting to see. Florida hasn't played a team of the 5-on-5 strength of Edmonton yet. So I think it really is an advantage that no one's talking about too much. Like we keep talking about the depth and how the Florida Panthers have a higher depth than the Oilers and stuff like that. I don't know if I buy that. I do think the Oilers' depth is better.
Yeah.
It's just name value.
I agree. I honestly, I think that's going to surprise people. The Oilers' depth in this series, I think, has the potential to be a strength. Newfie Sniper, the difference between those teams that lost, they never had McDavid and Draisaitl. One more for you from the Charm Diamond Center's YouTube chat. It's Maynard who says, for me, game 4 is always the game. And here's the interesting part. Game 4 is the swing game, always. I agree 100%. If it's 3-0, you're playing for your life on either side. If it's 2-1 either side, you're either playing to put your foot down and grab that commanding 3-1 lead, or you are playing for your life on the other side of that hockey game. What the Oilers have the opportunity to do as this series starts in Florida is go out and get the split. If we're being reasonable, right? Like get the split, win one of these 2, and then you're back game 3, building, rocking in Edmonton. You win that one. And when it comes to the swing game, you want to be the team putting your foot down. You want to be in that dominant position. Like they say in fights in the crowd, you want to be punching from the ground down, right? Game 4 is like that. You want to be punching down with a chance to really suck the soul out of your opposition. So
yeah, you got to put yourself in a position of dominance.
All right, we got a couple other things to get to. Again, shout out to everyone chiming in the Charm Diamond Center's YouTube chat. We're a little bit tight for time here today, so we do have to keep cruising along with today's program. And I think next up for us, Liam, is the keys to victory for our friends at Sherwood Power Sports and Marine. Sherwood Power Sports and Marine is your one-stop shop for everything you need, from fishing rods, reels, tackle and boat accessories to motorcycle gear, water sports accessories, and e-bikes. Find out more by visiting Sherwood Power Sports and Marine online. Liam, keys to victory for tonight, just building off that conversation with Mr. Seravalli. I want 12 to 15 shots in the first period. That's what I want to see. I want to see Bobrovsky get a little bit rattled. I want to see him get busy. I want the Oilers to test him. And hey, if he's on and he's making some sprawling saves, great, awesome. But what I want to see is them get to Bob early and make them work. Don't let them settle into this series. Maybe beat them once or twice. That would be the dream scenario. And have those doubts, those demons from last year start to recycle a little bit.
Yeah, I think that's a good one. Just trying to knock him off his game. Obviously, we know what happened last year to him in the Stanley Cup Final. It wasn't pretty by statistics. I think I'm going to go with the special teams battle. Obviously, we just spoke about the 5-on-5 and how the Oilers do have a bit of an advantage there by the numbers. So special teams obviously was a big factor in the Dallas Stars series. Ultimately, the penalty kill was fantastic the entire way through, like it has been most of the playoffs. Only 3 goals against, and then the power play showed up in those big moments in games 5 and 6 for the Oilers. So for me, maybe come out even on the 5-on-5, or let your special teams take the lead.
Trader Ryan, my heart wants to say Oilers win tonight, but we have problems with the first win historically. Just saying, we did beat Dallas though in game 1.
2 for 1 this playoff so far. You could argue it should be 3 for 3.
Yeah, if they didn't blow that one in Vancouver. There you go. Kyle the Bomber, key to victory, score more goals than the Cats. Sadistic Angel says quick passes, shoot everything at the net, and play disciplined. Yeah, I think that's fair. People wanting to know as we move away from our keys to victory. We're going to do another video with our guy Jay, who couldn't be here in the building because he was flying down, but we're going to be on the beach with Jay doing some more keys to victory for Sherwood Power Sports and Marine later today. But Mistaken Mexican dropped in. Who's in Florida? Where's the pregame? And he says Yard House. And Mistaken Mexican, you are right. It's in like the strip mall right across the street from the arena.
Right next to the movie theater.
Right next to the movie theater. Yep. So go to the strip mall. Type in Yard House. If you're down in Florida, I'll be there. Liam will be there. BMJ, the whole crew, Banjo Guy, McMullet's going to be hanging around as well. We got the entire cast of characters going to Yard House in Sunrise before the game. And then, I mean, we'll probably be there maybe 6 o'clock, 5:36, and then we'll make our way across the street, walk into Amarin Bank Arena, and we're not media boys tonight for the game.
No.
You better believe we're rocking our jerseys, and we are cheering the hell on the Edmonton Oilers, which is going to be awesome. But anyways, just that Yard House. And if you're in Edmonton and you want to party with us, you already know. You already know.
Yeah.
It is our party spot down at Greta. Street food, arcade, the bar. It's all good. They're going to have specials on for tonight's big game between Edmonton and Florida. Our guy Boardsy's going to be live with pre-gaming, bringing you 1 hour before puck drop, right up to puck drop, live at Greta. If you're in Edmonton, that is the spot right in the heart of downtown. The TV setup is elite at Greta. Intermission entertainment with all the arcade games going on. You can't beat it for a spot in Edmonton to watch the game. Shout out to our friends at Greta. Shout out to Boardsy and pre-gaming with Boardsy, which will go live at 5 o'clock Mountain this evening. All the start times are 6 o'clock Mountain, 8 o'clock Eastern this evening, or in this Cup final. So shout out to our friends over at Greta, and we will see all of you who are down in Florida over at Yard House. Let's wrap up the show, Liam, with our Betway Game Day betting challenge. Not the full betting challenge because Jay's not here. We'll have that coming maybe in a separate video as well. But the Oilers do open this series as underdogs. And is there one bet that you maybe like in this one more than the others, Liam?
I don't know what his odds are right now, but I honestly think Leon Draisaitl will have a goal tonight.
I like Connor to score. So we're on different sides of the dynamic duo, but I think like sometimes those players, and Draisaitl is elite of the elite, but Connor McDavid's a Mount Rushmore type NHLer, right? He's going to go down as one of the game's greats. They have the ability to do special stuff in moments like this. I would not be the least bit surprised if Connor McDavid even opened the scoring in this Cup final.
That would be pretty poetic, wouldn't it, for him to do? But yeah, I just think Leon on like my key to victory was the special teams. Leon, obviously, we haven't really seen that office type goal from him in a little bit, and I think that's going to come tonight. That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, I think I could see that as well.
Actually, Nuge would be a poetic.
That'd be electric. I mean, there's a lot of guys I'd like to see find the back of the net tonight. I also like Zach Hyman, his shot prop over 3.5. So if you want to dabble in the props a little bit with our friends at Betway, that's not a bad spot as well. Moneyline, I think, is also a must bet tonight from an Oilers perspective. I really think game one's a coin flip. Edmonton's the dog at plus 115. I wouldn't mind taking a stab at them. Shout out to our friends at Betway, where you can get a $200 free bet if your first bet loses. Simply head over to Betway, place a wager with no minimum amount required, and if your bet loses, you'll get a $200 bonus bet to continue betting on your favorite sports. This offer available outside of Ontario, and you can get in on it by scanning the QR code that is up on your screen right now. Joel is in. If I bet my call is 97 first goal, this series will go 7. 97 gets the cup winning goal. I don't think my heart could handle that. I really want to see the Oilers win this thing in 6 or sooner.
Me too.
Brad Hunter, 1-0 Oilers, triple OT. Michael Teixeira, who's been in the chat a lot throughout the year. Game 1, let's go, boys. I am so pumped.
Yeah.
I'm fired up too, Liam. I'm fired up too.
Yep. I'm
What jersey are you going with tonight?
I only brought one.
Really? I thought
Leon Draisaitl 2017.
The orange.
The orange.
Hell yeah. I'm going to be rocking a crisp new 97 with the patch.
With the patch.
I'm feeling good. Seth Van Berkel, Kid Leroy's doing a concert pregame. DJ Khaled's doing a concert ahead of game 2.
Khaled.
We the best. That'll be fun. That'll be a lot of fun. All right. What else haven't we crossed off the list today, Liam? I think we've made our way through the whole show.
Everything, yeah.
Did we do all 12 of our ad reads? We gave our friends at Charm Diamond Center some love. We're live from the Sports Closet studio. This show has flown by.
It has been flown by. You know what? We may as well. I posted a picture yesterday of the two of us here at the Stanley Cup Final and how a bit of our journey, I guess, with campus radio hosts to covering the Stanley Cup Finals, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah, we got a lot of love on that.
Yeah, a lot of people, very nice to say the least, and like just thanks, I guess. It's pretty cool to be here, and even our YouTube. Like, so if you ever go back and watch our shows, our chat during the show is fantastic, but a lot of people are going after, and they're not happy with some of the things we say, Tyler. I don't know if you've ever looked.
Like who?
Well,
like, what are they upset about? Sorry.
I don't know. They just like go in there and just make comments about whatever we
like the comments under our videos.
Yeah,
I never go back and read them.
But yesterday, I was feeling confident after what happened on Instagram and Twitter with it, and a lot of people were very nice in there too. So thank you very much. It's again kind of crazy we're here, and we're thankful for the opportunity, but we wouldn't be able to do it if you guys didn't watch our show every day. So thanks for that.
I see a bunch of you right now in the YouTube as well. Everyone who watches it every day, we appreciate you guys a lot. We do get a little sappy. We've had a couple of those moments here so far on this trip, but
it doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah, it doesn't really make sense either. Yeah, I agree with you, buddy. All right. I think that's a wrap on today's edition.
I'm good.
Shout out to our boy AB for holding down the fort down in Edmonton for us. He'll be live at 5 o'clock Mountain right here on the Oilers Nation YouTube. A couple of other pregame beach-themed videos coming to you from us, which will be good. And yeah, we're going live again tomorrow. Like we're doing it. We're living up to our show name. It is Oilers Nation every day during this Cup Final.
We're going down to Miami for it too.
Yeah, I think
Jimmy Butler on the show, Shaq, I believe.
Hey, well,
Pat Riley.
We're going.
I know.
I believe from the studio Shaq does his podcast is where we're going to be doing.
Nuts. Those guys won't be on the show unless you guys have contact with them. Let us know.
Yeah. All right. Prediction for tonight.
Oilers win. I can't do scores.
You can't do the whole shebang for me.
Oilers win. And that's what I'll say.
If you're down in Florida, see you at Yard House. If you're up in Edmonton, cheer your heart out. The Oilers are in the Stanley Cup Final. We've been waiting a long, long time to say that. We've been waiting a long, long time for this moment tonight as the puck will drop in just under 6 hours. Appreciate everybody tuning into the show today. We hope to see you again tomorrow and tonight on Pre-Gaming with Boardsy. Chat with you then.
See ya.
Thank you for watching Oilers Nation every day. Hit the subscribe button to never miss a show. And for more, visit OilersNation.com.